Hello and welcome to Is This England, a show where we talk about old and new England games and ask just how England was this.
We're back, and that means England are too. We're looking back at a famous night for Gareth's men, as well as Harry Kane toppling Wayne Rooney's record in Naples.
Time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me. Darling, there's no danger with all that we've been through, that anyone could love you more than me. But I've got news for you, babe. With all the things you do, babe, make me think how it used to be.
Nick.
We're back, buddy. We're back.
It's like we've never been away.
It's like monumental nights like last night. Just they happened all the time, didn't they, when we were doing this?
Yeah, I think we went into hiding at the end of the World Cup. No need to talk
cowards, absolute cowards.
Yeah, absolutely. We shrunk under the bit of pressure. England, obviously, are back, as you say, so that means we're going to kick off with a bit of a review of the recent Italy game, a look ahead to Ukraine. But beyond that, we are coming back, and back with a bang. We'll talk a bit more about that as we go. But yeah, we're back on the saddle. And what a bloody good saddle!
Absolutely, yeah, and we're up for it again, aren't we? Like you said just before we started, the sun's out.
Yeah,
we're starting to have a look at things and just going, oh, you know what? It's not such a bad place since England got knocked out of the World Cup, is it? So let's see what happens now. But yeah, we're back and we're ready to talk about England again. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, I suppose the biggest. You'll probably correct me, but I feel like the biggest England development since we last spoke is Gareth Southgate agreeing to stay on for one more stab at it.
One more shit show, I thought you were going to say.
No, I couldn't call the World Cup a shit show. I don't know if we want to talk about it much, but looking back, it was just an unfortunate night, really. Obviously, Argentina would take home the trophy in the end. And yeah, I thought England did themselves semi-proud in the World Cup.
They kind of did. They did as much as you thought, really. You picked the right team. Everyone agreed with it. I think they played as well as they could have at times, even if they maybe could have taken a few more chances from memory. And there was fine margins, really. France had, I mean, their goal, you could say, was just a long shot out of nothing. I don't think you can really blame anybody. That's just quality. And they had another 2 chances within a couple of minutes around their second, and that was it really for like the best team on earth, essentially.
And we saw how close they came to actually winning the tournament as well.
Yeah, again, that's kingmakers, England. They've always got to be there. And really, with England and Argentina, it would have been a great final in like an occasion, but I don't think it would have been the absolute madness that we saw. So another gift to the world.
The last big gift we gave before that was Italy winning the Euros.
Yeah, another one.
And we had a chance to avenge that. I think we've played them a few times, haven't we, since that fateful night in Wembley?
I think so. There was the friendly just before the World Cup where, according to everybody, the world was falling apart.
Yeah,
because England weren't very good, and neither were Italy, but Italy still managed to win. I remember being out for a friend's gig and watching some of it on my phone, and then trying to get updates from it, and it was just so odd and dark because it was just like November time, and you were like, this shouldn't be happening, should it?
Yeah, when everyone was kind of down on the World Cup as well. But yesterday in Naples, we had a chance to right some wrongs and get the new era underway. I think I said to you yesterday, for me, the post-tournament disinterest in England is just as much a part of the routine as they're getting way too excited during the tournament. So I didn't even realise that it's a Euros qualifier. Well, it was a Euros qualifier, right?
Yeah, Euros qualifier. For some reason, because it was on Channel 4 and now the curse of Channel 4 has been broken for now, in my head, it was like, I thought it was a Nations League game. at some point, because I was like, well, they've had all the rights to that because no one else bought them. But the fact that they've bought the rights for the Euros campaign, that's pretty impressive, really. And like you say, it's happening again, isn't it? And now it's Euros qualifying. It means business again. And actually, England being involved in a really important game straight away, it was kind of like, right, we're back in it now, bloody hell. But like you, it was a bit like, I'm interested in it. And then as the day came along, I got like, I'm actually looking forward to watching this now.
Yeah, with the Channel 4 curse that you mentioned there, we seem to be cursed across quite a few broadcasters. Maybe it should just rotate every game so no curse can catch us.
I feel like England always did well when they were on Sky. There was like a weird period where Sky bought like a load of England games, like back in like 20 years ago. And it was always Martin Tyler was on them and stuff. And I remember England were quite good then.
I think the fateful Keegan resigning in a toilet was on Sky though.
Most probably, yeah.
You can't have it all your own way, can you?
No.
So let's have a look back at last night's game then. Or by the time this comes out, Thursday's game. It was Thursday regardless.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's very, very true. I have to get de-rust my editing skills. Get some WD-40 on that. Where do we want to start, really? Do you want to look at the lineup for the game?
Yeah. I mean, when I saw it come through, it's pretty much the strongest possible team he could have picked. I think Rashford was the player that people had been pining for in hindsight that should have played more at the World Cup, even though everyone had pined for Phil Foden to be playing and finally get him in the team somehow. And with Rashford withdrawing from the England side, that's kind of the best team that everybody would have wanted. And seeing Bellingham, shackles off, as they say, to see him actually just go, you know what, you are one of the best players, one of our best players, even though you're 19, just go and cause some problems for the other side, really. And he's got the protection to do that. And I thought it was a smart selection, really.
A couple of things there. I suppose I mentioned earlier that the biggest development since the World Cup has been Southgate signing a new contract. Of course it has, but I do think the form of Marcus Rashford, and I'm on record, literally recorded and released on this podcast as saying he's never going to get up to the kind of form that he is now. I think that's probably the biggest player development that we've had. I can't imagine if Rashford's fit that he's not a guaranteed starter.
Yeah, and the form he's been in this season, you'd absolutely say so. And especially since the World Cup, the stars have just started to align for him, and you don't know whether it's a long period of excellent form from him or it can be the norm. I'd say it's probably somewhere in between, where if he keeps doing well at club level and there's a manager that believes him there and he can add a couple of more players around him at club level who can bring the best out of him, then yeah, you'd say so, because he's got those players at England. So if he's got that consistency every single week coming into England with these are very good players around me, it's not as much of a shock, especially when you've got players like Kane and Bellingham and Saka in the forward line. He knows Luke Shaw at the left back, so they've got a good relationship too. And yeah, apart from him, having to withdraw because his legs were about to fall off.
I think it's for the best for his sort of longer term development. We got the points without him.
I'd say so, yeah.
The other thing I was going to say there, back to Bellingham, kind of number 10 yesterday.
Yeah, he kind of played that more advanced role of the three. I think Southgate's always like that protective three, two of them just sitting back and
You're kind of doing the Henderson role.
Oh my God.
That was a strange one.
What an upgrade.
But yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. I'll just go through the team then. Pickford in goal, as to be expected, really. He hasn't really gone up or down in form too much since the World Cup, and I don't think it would really matter. Kyle Walker, I remember you dropping me a message, one of the Prem games, saying we're on the last juices of epic Kyle Walker. You still kind of see
of it all.
You'll see that as the case.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I'd imagine from as the qualifying campaign goes on, and obviously England won their first opening game, their toughest game. I'd like to maybe see this be the opportunity of, do we have to keep relying on Kyle Walker? Because he is getting on now. He's doing very silly things in bars, as have been shown. And I'd like to see maybe, Reece James is maybe the most complete of all the right backs in next on the list. I think you can't really look past Kieran Trippier as well of what he's done this season. So maybe that's a bit of a last ride. He'll probably still go to the Euros, but when it happens, it's going to be a big falling off point if England haven't already prepped someone like a Reece James to take over that role.
Very good point. On the left-hand side of defence, in left-back position, Luke Shaw. I was kind of happy to see that because prior to the World Cup, left-back felt it was a lot of why is he playing because he's not really playing for Man United at that time, but he's cemented his place in the Man United side. It's just good to have a bit of certainty, I think, around that left-back position. He's as good as anyone there really on his day, and he's pretty solid most of the time. He does have the odd bad game, but haven't really seen many for England. But maybe we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I did. I saw just before we started recording. Apparently, Carlton Palmer wasn't very impressed with him, and it's just like, why is have they Talk Sport literally ran out of people to say stupid things like Carlton Palmer?
You need to block them, man.
They already have blocked them, and somehow they keep seeping through. Because I see people like tagging them and like quote tweeting them, going like, oh, "What a stupid opinion!" And I mean, who doesn't want to look at that then? And then it's just like, "Oh God, I've looked into the abyss."
I think Gabby Agbonlahor is muted word for me on a Twitter, so hopefully he's not getting through that net. In the centre backs, same as always, really, John Stones and Harry Maguire. A point I'd like to make really on that is you'd imagine by the time I'm getting my years and my seasons all muddled up here, but obviously next season we've still got the full sort of sporting calendar year leading up to the World Cup. Harry Maguire is going to be an interesting one just to see where he ends up, and it's just that feels to me like the position where those two have barely had any competition, and I kind of don't see it on the horizon either.
Yeah, I think Eric Dyer was part of the team last night, and it's just like bloody hell. It is just like who is the strongest and most reliable players I've got and are my favourites.
Yeah,
because your Tomori's your next one's coming in. Mark Guehi from Crystal Palace, you would imagine would be again players like that getting a run out during the rest of the qualifying campaign over the next few years to give them a proper go instead of just Maguire and Stones again, because you kind of know what you're going to get with them. And neither of them have really played much for club this season either, even though I thought both were very good last night.
Kind of interesting there because in my mind, I haven't really thought too much about it, which is good that we're doing a podcast about it. But in my mind, I kind of see it as Southgate. This is, as you've already said, the term, the last ride. I think, personally, I think he's going to try and stick with those who've got him this far as much as he can. He may as well go out on his sword with Stones and Maguire if they're fit and available. But you're kind of saying there, and the same also like Kyle Walker and people like that, but you're kind of saying there, and this is probably what he will do, looking back at his track record, despite what people think, he probably will bleed in some new players. And I imagine by the time we do this podcast and Euro 2024 is on the horizon, that we'll be talking about maybe a slightly altered bunch. I guess just time will tell, I just can't see the likes of Tomori getting a look in because he would have given him more of a chance by now.
Maybe. I think there's a long time to go. There's a lot of friendlies to go. I think England are playing like Australia and Scotland and quite a lot during and this, the qualifying group, England's the hardest game has already gone now. So you'd imagine a lot of other players have the opportunity, and it would be remiss of him not to at least try with a lot of these other players that could come in.
England are playing Scotland.
They're playing Scotland away at Hampden, and I have already got a lovely little game planned out for when that happens. It is very violent.
in the midfield, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice, the Euro 2020 vintage. Good to see Calvin Phillips back in. I thought he looked on point, really.
Yeah, he looked really decent, and I was amazed that he played 90 minutes. I'm imagining it's because just circumstances change and he had to. I can't imagine Southgate would have thought, you played about 60 minutes of club football in the Prem this year, like you're going to start away in Naples and you're going to play the whole game. But he was up through it. I don't really think he flagged. I think England in general probably did, but he was very good in there. I thought Declan Rice was excellent. I think we're on record of being proper
Rice heads,
perverts for him and all that kind of stuff. And he was great last night. Obviously, he had his goal, but that wasn't really part of his overall game. It was just how well he moved the ball and his positioning, and just always there, strong in the tackle when needed. So excellent again. And like you say, Bellingham in that position too was great too as well. Outstanding first half.
I think Phillips and Rice is one of those where really it's pretty spot on. I mean, he's not going to forget how to be a footballer. I know he's not playing much for Man City, but like he's of the right age and the right profile and skill set. Where let's not count him out. Give him these games. And Maguire hasn't played much for Man United, but he's always done all right for England. So maybe Phillips is one of them. The front line: Harry Kane, Jack Grealish, and Saka. Excellent, really. As you say, I probably imagine Rashford would take Grealish's place in an ideal world.
You've got to find a way of getting him in the side. You just do. Yeah, I thought Saka was brilliant last night. There was something about, obviously, we watch a lot of Man United play. There was something about almost like a performance of like an Anthony, but like a really clever, knew his game in and out a higher level than, because he was just, so the amount of times that an England player would be up against him and an Italian player would be trying to get the ball off him and he'd be right on the touchline. And he would just keep the ball. He was so strong in holding players off, which I think is a bit underrated. His passing was excellent in keeping the ball. Him and Kane were brilliant, really, in terms of their interchanges, and Kane dropping wide when Saka came inside. And yeah, I thought it was kind of like the complete performance from those guys as well. And Kane, even at one point when he was injured off the pitch, was crawling back on in one of the videos I saw, just on his hands and knees, so like he was in the Shawshank Redemption or something.
I thought when I saw that, oh my god, like has he got like a concussion or something here? Does he think he's like turned into a mole or something like that? Did you see? You probably wouldn't have seen the UFC at the weekend where the a British guy, I forget his name, he got knocked out like quickly and violently. And so he clearly had some sort of concussion. They stood him up afterwards, and he was trying to fight like the referee and like five people because he still thought he was in a fight. So I watched that and I thought, what's happened to Kane's brain here? But he was doing smart play.
Do you think he's being born?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was no game time for Ivan Toney or James Maddison. I imagine they're like kind of the people pleasers at the moment if Southgate was to follow that.
Yeah, definitely. I think this kind of comes on to maybe the Ukraine game next time round, where Kane will play and he'll get his rewards. But it's really the opportunity to see a Tony and to see a Maddison in games like that now, and it's an embarrassment of riches for England, really, in those attacking positions. And whether England can get the best out of them in general, that's the thing. But really, that was the sensible choice last night. And yeah, everyone just turned up. The first half was outstanding. I can't remember England playing that well in the first half in such a big game as well, consistently, in a long time. Really, is that the best? Like almost for like a result away from home as well. Is that the best result away from home in a qualifying game since the 5-1? It's got to be up there.
It's got to be up there. Maybe one of the Croatia ones, the Theo Walcott sort of era.
Yeah. I guess there was the Spain game in the Nations League, because that meant something at the time, and that was like a bloody hell. How have they done that?
Nations League,
they're still the European champions. Italy, even though they're like still a good team
until next July, until the final whistle of the final game. They're still the European champions.
Absolutely.
Declan Rice, as you say, got the goal that set us kind of on our way. It was a good finish down into the ground from. It started off with a corner, didn't it? But it was a sort of love train corner.
Yeah, and two kind of set pieces that ended up contributing to England's goals. But ones that you still think England had chances either side of those as well. Phillips had a shot as well, which was, I think Kane was screaming out. I don't think he quite scored yet. And he was absolutely screaming out for like, why have you not passed me that? That was a perfect chance. But yeah, then there was Rice's goal. Then the penalty came in real time. I thought it was a bit too close to him. I didn't think the defender in real time had time to adjust his body. But when you look on the replays, which I do hate when they slow it down, because I think all VAR replays should be done in real time to ascertain what's happened instead of just frames. But when you see he has got his arm really far out on Kane, it's a clear penalty when he gave it. And really, did anybody have any doubts that Kane would score that?
I was again, it's good that we do a podcast about England, and England played last night, because I wasn't watching the game. Yeah. I was watching Narcos.
Okay.
Class. But as the episode finished, I put the game on and they were showing the frame. So I was like,
yes.
Jen, this could be a bit of history here. At first I was confused. I thought Kane had given away a handball, because It kind of
Yeah.
looked like it could have fell into his hand, and I thought that it might have been an Italy penalty. I was kind of what? Yeah. Anyway, I didn't really have any doubts. Um, Jen was like, "Oh my god, I'm so nervous," and I went, "No, don't be. Like, it's not that type of occasion anyway." But a penalty, yeah, and the real story, I guess. Harry Kane is now England's leading scorer of all time.
Still feels quite weird. Like, I'm not even really over the fact that Wayne Rooney was England's leading scorer of all time. Like, that still kind of felt weird and more of a reward for longevity for England and always plying away. But Kane's kind of broke that in no time, really. I mean, he made his England debut in like 2015, I want to say.
Yeah. He's made Bobby Charlton look like an idiot.
Oh no, exactly. What were you doing taking all that time winning the bloody World Cup for England when you could have been scoring more goals as a midfielder?
Against Moldova and Scotland.
No, yeah. That's the thing. I think we looked at an episode leading up to more of a recent game, and some of the ones have been like Kane just absolutely whacking the minnows and like getting his tally up and kind of having that drive to not care. And not care that he scores a lot of goals against poor teams. But the fact, I think we looked into it, and he still does score in a lot of the big games and the big occasions against good sides as well. It's just maybe the fact that England haven't quite, maybe the players around him haven't pursued him in terms of how good he can be and the team can be. But you'd never say, "Oh, Harry Kane went missing." We wouldn't really ever say that.
No, because when if he's not getting the goals, which is rare, he's always been a good team player and a good captain. And just really, his hold-up play and winning fouls is just exceptional. There was a bit of that on display yesterday. But not to talk too much about his sort of, not downfall, but, his lowest moment, I guess, in the World Cup. But it was good that it was a penalty that got him off the mark for this qualifying campaign. It's that England thing of putting a ghost to bed. Would you rather have had it yesterday or in the Euros next year?
Exactly.
Like a big knockout game.
England not being awarded a penalty while he's on the pitch and give one to Ivan Toney or something to see if he can do it at international level or to sort of Bellingham or something. Yeah, it was good to get it out of the way because that was the only bit of doubt was just the fact that he had missed one so recently in a big game. But really, you just kind of thought, yeah, you'd always back him. And that's why there wasn't really an issue for me when England, when Harry Kane did step up to take that penalty against France, the second one, because you thought, if he doesn't take that penalty and that person misses, everyone would be like, well, why is Kane not done it? He's bottled it. He's decided not to step up to it. Where almost it was every bit of the worst circumstances you could take a penalty under, like against a keeper you've known for so many years in the biggest game when you've already taken one, and after what was it, like a 6-minute VAR delay or something like that?
Yeah, and it was kind of one of those with the response to it. Obviously, I'm talking friends and people like that rather than Twitter, but there was a lot of, well, you know what, he's missed a penalty, but how many times has he got to take the shit before? And it was he had so much already in the bank that even that, to normal people was kind of okay. You can't keep doing it. And what would it have done anyway? Because we probably would have lost in extra time by the way the game was going. Probably is in inverted commas there, but
it was a big moment in the game, wasn't it? And still with that as well, like you say, if normal people on the street, not as like freaks who do a podcast about it, if normal people are even saying, well, I don't really blame him, then like that was the best opportunity in a long time for one person to be blamed for England going out of a tournament. And it didn't happen really. It like everyone just kind of went, just one of those, unfortunately, where England just didn't get the rub of the green on the night against, it was again, like a very stacked France team.
It was Beckham versus France Euro 2004-esque, just skying it as well. Not even the keeper saving it, just anyway.
Look at us, just talking about England going out of a World Cup when they've just won for the first time in how many years? I think it's 1961 was the last time they won in Italy. And Italy hadn't lost a home qualifier in Euros since like 1999 or something. Just an amazing run. And then that was the result. And again, hugely impressive. The first half was amazing. Second half, not so good. And they didn't start it well. There was a bit of misunderstanding for the Italian goal, and then from then on it was all hands to the pump. This has got to be measured. But England were really good before going down to 10 men, where Italy didn't really have many chances. They didn't have the ball England a lot of the times, and I think the pass completion was down. And I think something like Jude Bellingham only made 5 passes in the second half, so it just shows you how much running and effort he had already put in and continued to put in. He did a bit of a different role.
Yeah, it was a good test in the second half, actually. You know, it took a lot for them not to crumble. And it was, as you say, kind of all hands to the pump and let's defend the living shit out of this. It was down to 10 men after a little while in the second half. Luke Shaw, he'll get a rest now. He'll get arrested as well now after that disgusting play.
As Merson would say, bang, you're going to jail.
Yeah, it was a weird one, that. I felt like hasn't the referee refereed two England games, and he sent a player off in both. I think Kyle Walker was a previous one.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember Kyle Walker. I think he was in like that weird Iceland game away where everyone got done for being out, and like England were awarded a penalty, and then Iceland were. Then it was just a very weird time, wasn't it?
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, moving forward there, Southgate, he didn't get carried away. Shock. And brought it back to, this is a competitive game. This isn't just a go at Italy to kind of like get a World Cup monkey off our back. We needed points because you never know in a long qualification campaign. And he had to, and a lot of people would say bloody loves it, but he had to go a bit defensive and make some changes, didn't he?
Rubbing his hands together there. I get to bring on some fullbacks. Yes.
Yeah, we saw the likes of Conor Gallagher as well come on. And I thought the team did well to hang on. I didn't really feel like Italy were going to get that second goal. Were there many golden chances that they had?
I wouldn't say so, no. But like you say, I thought it was excellent in-game management from Southgate, knowing that Italy were coming, and made the first change very quickly in bringing on stable Kieran Trippier, probably instead of Chilwell, who's been a bit up and down with injury and not really played for England in a long time. So bringing Trippier on to play at that left back spot, and then immediately just taking a moment to, and maybe actually just taking a bit of time out of the game as well, instead of making the 3 changes at once. Instead, just going, right, if we make this change now, that steadies at the back 4. The next one will now take us into a back 5. When James came on, Gallagher came on. I think it was for Bellingham, so they took a bit of energy out, back into the midfield. And within seconds, Gallagher had made like a run, won the ball back, won a foul, and was already on the ground, like stretching his legs. And it was like a less fresh player can't make that tackle, really. So straight away, it was like, that's why he's been brought on.
Well, Southgate, with that win, because we did hold on, became only the 3rd England manager to reach 50 wins. He achieved that in 81 games, the others being Sir Alf Ramsey and Walter Winterbottom.
He got those wins while still doing all that bloody admin, bless him, Walter.
What to say, really, with that stat? It's a bit of a weird one, but like it does. I mean, he is a record-breaking England manager. He hasn't got the silverware to back it up, but the World Cup was record-breaking in its own way. I'm sure there were things like most goals we'd scored and everything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's crap, isn't he?
Yeah, apparently hasn't got a clue what he's doing. Apparently,
it's going to be so toxic. This whole tournament next year and the run up to it. It is. I just can't wait for him to just have a nice break.
Yeah, and it will. But you imagine it has to be his last chance, isn't it, in terms of winning something? Because I think even us who are like massive, Southgate fans and think what he's actually done for the culture around England and just so much more than, on the pitch stuff as well as making people proud of their football team again and proud to play for their club. Even we would say, you've had your chance and it's time for somebody else. And I think at the end of this tournament, round, I'd say that it is going to have to be that, but I think that he will absolutely cherish that as well, of just like, fucking hell, I am free of this curse of the England manager's job, and it is someone else's problem.
Do you imagine the FA are already doing their work to find out who that replacement could be?
I mean, they would be off their rockers if they weren't, wouldn't they? They must have, because he was undecided about whether to go in. No, but again, they'd have to be off their rockers, which they probably are. So yeah, you would think so. It depends. I think a lot happens with what happens with Potter at Chelsea, because maybe he won't. You can't maybe see him being there by the end of next season. So as long as he doesn't take up a new job, you're kind of in the running there, aren't you, for him? And thinking, yes, he seems to be the popular opinion. Whatever happens at Chelsea isn't going to change how good he has been seen
Can you
as a
imagine?
manager.
Imagine the FA calling him and just being like, yeah, just in case it goes bad. I'm not saying it will, but just in case it doesn't work out at Chelsea. And he's like, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he?
Well,
So you want me to
have
you
you
want me to
seen your
manage it?
results?
You want me to manage your team, but you also think I'm going to get the sack. So
Hey,
what do you think?
just letting you know, my mate fancies you.
I think that kind of a couple of what bigger picture things for Italy. First Italy game since the passing of Gianluca Vialli. I'm not sure who his replacement is, but he's got big glasses, big
Yes.
mafioso glasses.
Yeah, there was a video just at the start and before the game that was played in Naples as well of Vialli, and it was just really heartwarming and a bit heartbreaking actually to see Mancini on the sidelines without him there, because they were so close. They like dressed like each other. They were, they played with each other for so long. I think we did an England game where they were like both on colour commentary for Italy as well, which was great. And
Dressed like each other.
literally, they did it. The whole
They
team.
did.
They both wore the flat cap, like the Peaky Blinders caps and all that. And it was really sad. But there was a night. I couldn't understand a word of what was being said, but it was a lovely kind of ending of that video that they put up in Naples.
There was a bit of silliness. Do I want to talk about it? Do I want to give fan silliness the time of day? There was the guy with Diego's in a box. And then probably a fake tweet, but I saw one and it was written in Italian. It was basically like $5,000 for whoever kills him, basically. I mean,
I would talk about putting a lot of other people in unneeded danger as well.
Yeah.
Like there's England fans who went over there, and a lot of them that we follow on our social medias and just kind of saw the good time they were having. Like I like going to European aways and destinations and things like that, and to just have the idea that Naples is a dangerous place anyway. Going to watch football, it's not somewhere I could say I'd go, and I'd love to, but I just wouldn't take the risk with it. And the treatment some of the England fans faced last night, I thought was just really disgusting. What you saw from the videos, and again that thing of preempting because of maybe what's happened before. When I don't think the majority of people, if they go into if they're going to Naples, they've already got it in their mind not to cause problems, and for them to be stranded for so long and beaten by police, and then on top of it, of just this guy basically putting a target on all England fans, it was just so unnecessary.
Yep. We can move on from that now.
Yeah.
So we've got another game to look forward to on Sunday.
Yes.
Sunday against Ukraine. Stupid thing to say, really, but they're putting out a national team during a war. I think that's something to be said for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've been doing it this whole time, really, haven't they? They're doing like the not the knockouts. What are they called? So the playoffs,
the qualifiers. Yeah, for the last tournament.
Yeah, I don't really know what Ukraine's situation at the minute is in terms of footballers, other than Zinchenko, who's out.
Yeah, he's not playing, so we can move on from their team.
Is there much to say? I would imagine England should be able to do the job. Where are we going to play? Do you know?
It is at Wembley, so it is at home for this one. Apparently, a lot of Ukrainian refugees who fled have been invited to Wembley, which is a nice touch.
That is a very nice touch.
So they'll be present. And yeah, one of those last time England played at Euro 2020, England won 4-0 in Rome. So a little repeat of that wouldn't go amiss.
I can't even remember that.
That was
of course.
It was like a Saturday night or something like that. I remember I was on holiday and we'd rushed back to our hotel with a pizza from down the road. Literally just a chance to sit down on the bed, open my pizza box, turned it on, and England scored within seconds. So that
was the one I watched in Moseley. Outside in the pissing rain and beautiful sunshine as well. Got them both. You've got a note here. Fraser Forster is back, baby.
You can still find him. It's just amazing. If you are a relatively good goalkeeper and you bugger off and you decide to be a number 2 for the rest of your career, all it takes is just one goalkeeper getting injured and you can be back in an international setup. That is mental.
Did you see that? I think it was a Sky Sports thing where somebody was saying, Lloris at Spurs, he's a bit past it now. They need to think of the future and maybe go for somebody like Fraser Forster. I'm just like, the future? The future of what?
He was playing for Celtic about 15 years ago. I don't think he's the new hope, really, is he? It's just what on earth? But the thing is, though, you saw it was probably 4 really top class goalkeepers that England have had for some time now. And just Nick Pope drops out. Henderson's still injured at the moment. And then you look around and you're like, wait a minute, didn't we have like a load of good players a minute ago? Like, what the hell happened?
What's Jack Butland up to? Robert Green?
Jack Butland, he's literally can't even get on the bench for Man United. Like Tom Heaton's your next backup, probably.
Yeah, true. I think they were just trying to think of one. It's like, was Fraser? Is that a thing? Fraser
like
Forster?
It was a quiz question.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, which is the one that's just signed for Wrexham?
Oh God, yeah. Is Gareth going to ring the changes? Do we reckon?
I think he'll probably go strong again. Were there 5 changes last night? I'd missed how many that England and Italy could make.
No point in asking me, mate.
No, it was more of an open ended to the air, really, to the room I'm in. I wasn't sure because you'd think actually that every single manager will be looking at that substitute bench for England come the Ukraine games, be like, right, how long have we got? Like, come on, this is getting silly now. This is like, it's been 3 minutes. You've got to bring him off.
Definitely, which is why I thought he might ring the change. You imagine Kane's going to get a party, a reception with hopefully Ashley Cole's invited.
One thing from last night's game, I don't know if you've noticed it or when you've been watching, Steven Gerrard was on the coverage and he spent a lot of time saying how good Wayne Rooney was. Weird. But like they'd be like, he's saying like, oh, Harry Kane, he's just taken the record. Well done. But Wayne Rooney, what a player he was. And he made points to say that like on 2 occasions. And I was like, is Wayne Rooney going to get you a job or something? Like, what is this?
I think he's going to batter him. You make sure that you don't talk about Kane.
You make sure you say how great I am. I'll come round your house.
Yeah. So probably a strong lineup again. Is it just the 2 games in this international break?
It is, yeah. Then I don't think we've got another England game until, I want to say it's June.
Okay.
So because the big breaks, I think towards the end of the year, I think there's quite a few spots there for England games. I think, again, there's the Scotland game, there's an Australia game, there's all these qualifiers we've got to play as well. So I think qualification's got to be done by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So England I've got to fit in quite a few games. I think it's from there because I think I'm at the Ashes on Friday night, and in the evening England are away in Malta. Our friend of the show, Adam, was very quick to tell me that. So that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of everything. Just on the topic of new pods going forward, we've got some ideas. I think we've got some interesting ideas in terms of mixing up the format a little bit. So obviously we tend to cover games and look at the before and after and the sort of football culture at the time, but we really want to go deep on some England narratives. No spoilers, but I'll just say we haven't really spoke about Steve McLaren much, so maybe he's one and we can just sum up all his story in one. So it'll be things like that. We'll do some like top 10 sort of listy kind of things as well, and just have a play with the format a little now we're back. And don't worry, we will keep covering games such as England versus Montenegro, England versus Scotland. Oh, yeah. All of those classics. Probably catch up after the Ukraine game and see how this international break, has shaped up. Let's hope it's 6 points on the board. Onwards to Germany we go.
So I was thinking last night, Germany, it'd be lovely to go out there for like a long weekend.
That would be
I was just thinking, if England are playing, like there's no chance we'll be able to get to games, unless someone wants to do UEFA. We are listening. We are open to your corruption.
I was going to say, I'd prefer to get them from a different source, just like a sponsor or something like that. But
a sponsor, don't be fucking stupid.
No, a sponsor of the tournament, not of us.
Yeah.
We'll take it from Heineken Zero.
Oh yeah, a lovely, refreshing Heineken Zero. You mean?
Yeah, sorry.
0.0.
0.0 of pure goodness. The rain started now as well. We're speaking about the sunshine at the top of the pod, and it's raining now.
Perfect. Well, I'll take that chance for me to go to the shops then quickly.
Right. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks very much,
and we'll see you soon.
Stranger, that's what time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me. Darling, there's no danger with all that we've been through, that anyone could love you more than me. But I've got news for you,